What was the biggest lie you believed? On April Fool's, while I was getting ready for school on a cold winter day, my mom told me, "School ice canceled. It's a snow day." I ran around for a good 2 minutes celebrating before she told me, "April Fool's." I've never felt so betrayed in my life. My mom told me when I was 5 and my favorite dog died that it doesn't matter that dogs die, because in 7 years they respawn. So I was like, "Oh, fine, see you then, bud. I will be older and we will play again." That my dad moved out and rented a room in the house of a female friend for tax reasons. That my parents were married. Truth is, my father was, just not to my mother. I'm not having an affair. My wife who was having an affair. Our family were poor and lived in a house where the ceiling plaster had bowed so much that it bowed down, bulging out. My dad told me that there was a World War II bomb buried in the ceiling. Believed it for years, absolutely terrified the entire time. As a little kid, Dad told me that there was a Greek god of X called Elatio. I'd never heard the word before. Then, freshman year of high school, took a mythology class and asked the teacher, in class, why we hadn't talked about Elatio. Silence. "You know, the god of X?" I'm cringing hard just typing this out. Got a nice little talk after class and Dad almost peed his pants laughing that night. Edit. Thanks for the love for my dad. He was always pulling shit like this until he died of cancer in 2015. I was frustrated with his playful bullshittery as a kid, until I was able to connect with him as a friend in my early 20s or so. He was really into wordplay and turning phrases, as well as Warhammer and WoW. I miss him, and this Elatio story always makes me smile. When I was very young, we had a pet hamster. He got out of his cage, so my dad put the cage in the basement thinking he might get hungry and get back in. One morning I woke up and there was the hamster in his cage in the usual place. I asked my mom how they found him and she told me she opened the door to the cellar and there he was dragging his cage back upstairs. It wasn't until I was a teenager and remembered the exchange that it occurred to me she obviously made that up. You'll figure it out when you are older. No, life has only gotten more confusing. Outside of dumb lies your parents tell you as kids, my friend who worked at a gas station with a big food station that has some ground beef items told me they use kangaroo meat for their ground beef because it was cheaper than cow. I am gullible with my friends. That adults knew what they were doing. That acne would only be a problem when I was a teenager. When I was like 16, I found out that one of my sisters wasn't actually my sister. She was actually just best friends with my oldest sister growing up, and she lived with my family from when she was like 12 or 13 through 18. She and my oldest sister are 15 years older than me. Unfortunately, her parents wouldn't sign her over for adoption and didn't contribute anything for my mom raising her for 6 years. Weirdest part is that my family is predominantly fair-skinned, blonde with blue eyes, but the girl I thought was my sister was traditional Mexican with darker skin, dark hair, and brown eyes. My mom was always very tan and had darker hair throughout my childhood, so I thought that my other two sisters and myself were the odd ones out. The Tinder account was just a shared account for joking around with my friends. I never even logged in on my own. It was in fact his account which he had been using during the last 3 months of our relationship. And yes, I knew how unbelievable that sounds, but I refused to believe that the man I trusted so much would ever do this to me. That a full career and retirement from the US Navy would guarantee me free medical. I'll fill up my car with gas before work tomorrow morning. When I was a kid, my cousin convinced me for like an hour that her mom had won the lottery. I can still feel the loss of millions of dollars 2 decades later, and that hit hurts, bro. Why, Jessica, why? When I grow up, I'll always be able to do what I want, when I want. Oh, my sweet summer child. The microwave will explode if I put my face too close to it while it's heating food. What weird flex you proud of? I made a meme on a small subreddit and a couple hours later my buddy sent me my own meme not knowing I made it. I bought the 2 first books of A Song of Ice and Fire from a dude in 1999 I met on Usenet. Couldn't find them in a bookstore. He said he had cases of them in his basement. And if I wanted them autographed? It was GRRM himself and way before they got popular. I've donated over 2 gallons of blood. I have O negative and CMV negative blood, so my blood is USED in emergencies involving newborn babies. Edit. Please consider donating. Find a Red Cross blood drive near you. I had modest dreams, accomplished them all. I have an uncanny knack for remembering people, even people that I see very briefly. For example, I once saw a guy on the escalator in Toronto and I said, "Hey, when you move here from Vienna?" was flabbergasted. I had walked past him on the street once while visiting there, and 5 years later I recognized him. Right now I hold the record at my local barcade for Street Fighter 2. 1,010,000. I also get free beer because of it. It all happened because I was going back and forth with this guy that I haven't met yet on who can get the high score on their board. He held the record at 762,000 and then I beat it with 788,000. He's been trying to beat it ever since I posted that score, and the closest he got was 770,000. When I seen that score posted on the game itself, I had about 6 beers in me and I walked over there and dropped the million by getting perfect on most of the bosses and a handful of perfects on the regular players. He's never going to touch that hit now. I built and installed a bookshelf doorway with a hidden door handle myself. It leads into a room dedicated only to Dungeons and Dragons. Childhood dream achieved. I went swimming over the Mariana Trench, 36,000 FTOF seawater, was only scared a little bit. Barack Obama follows me on Twitter, and I have no idea why. I've planted over 2 million trees. I got my braces off 7 years ago and I've worn my retainer every night since. I remember one time coming up with a hilarious joke but saving it for later, and then half a year after finding perfect time to say it. Lost 105 pounds. I have hugged a penguin. I have a sock drawer that's 72 of the same exact sock. I never have to fold them or dig around to make a matching pair. Gossip in the office that comes to me never goes further. I have died 5 times due to allergic reactions. No breathing, no heartbeat, unresponsive. Always been burrowed back. The longest I was gone was roughly 3 to 4 minutes. I got a pity pat from Obama. This was ages ago when he was still just a senator from Illinois. I got a job at a local radio station as a reporter for news in the area. Obama was speaking at a community college in our area and I was told to listen to his address and ask relevant questions afterwards. I had never done that before, or since, and I barely listened, and at the end he met with the press, which was me and a local newspaper guy. After he finished with the other guy, he looks at me and says, "What can I do for you?" My mind went totally blank and I just stood there staring at him. This went on for a little too long and eventually he reaches out a hand, pats me gently on the shoulder, and goes, "It's okay," and then walked off. Lol. 5'3" male, and my GF is 5'7". I have the widest gap between my front teeth you'll ever see. Hell, people call me the Suez Canal, joking my language, for how wide the gap is. I once, while eating Ussie, tried to fit the lip between the gap and suck on it. Apparently it feels amazing, so I kind of went for it as my signature move and I made a name out of it. Kinda glad I didn't try to get them fixed, lol. I have finished 3 full tubes of chapstick in my life. Not lost or missing. Finished to the end. I can write with either hand. Not such an impressive skill, but when my colleague remarked that my handwriting is beautiful despite using my dominant, right, hand to also type at the same time, it made me blush. It was indeed a very beautiful and calligraphic handwriting. Went to the dentist for the first time in 5 years last week for a cleaning checkup. No cavities. I hiked the entire Appalachian Trail. Went to Venice for 4 days, bought a 7-day public transport pass, because they only had 1, 3 or 7-day passes. Prices for 3 + 1 days and a 7-day pass is the same. Ended the trip before leaving for airport, stood at the central station and sold the remaining days at half price to a couple who were starting their vacation in Venice. Both of us ended up saving money at it. Wow. This blew up. I see a lot of comments about giving it away for free or me being cheap about it. Well, I sold it for less than half the price of what it would have cost the couple to buy new tickets for 3 days. I only got back like a day's money back. And no, I would not give it away for free because I would not accept a ticket for free if someone gave it to me. I would pay something, and also they were prepared to pay the original amount, and I would rather give away free stuff to the homeless, which I have done numerous times before, instead of giving it away to someone who can clearly afford it, and they were extremely happy at the end of it to save more than 50 euros, but to each their own. Relieved face. Went from almost dead for 10 years to functioning human. Feels good to be back. Edit. Thank you very much for gold. Flexing hard. Homeowner for 17 years, never missed a garbage day, unless the entire family was away. Couple times got out of bed at 6 a.m. hearing the truck coming, had to run out with the cans in my skivvies. American here. I was woken up by police in the middle of the night and escorted out of a country for my safety after slapping a Tunisian general in the face after he gave a Ezi salute to my East German housemate and made her cry. I stole a grand theft amount of money from my mom's husband in order to escape abuse. UCKU Dawn edit. I have been waiting to feel this validated since she married that SS hole when I was 13. Please continue the Dawn hate. It's weird. I can wear children's shoes because my feet are so small. While that seems odd, I'm proud because as an adult, I can buy those Ninja Turtles shoes my mom so disappointingly never let me get because I am a lady. Suck it, MA.